Hi everybody, it's Maiden. Good morning. Wednesday, November 14th, 9:22 a.m. Beautiful day today in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It's still cold, but all of our snow is gone, and we do have snow up in the hills in the San Cristo Mountains, which I can see from here. But I just want to say it's a beautiful day this morning in Santa Fe. Thank you, Jesus, for this brand new beautiful day. Okay, so I just got done watching CBS News and was crying. You guys are doing great at CBS this morning. I do want to say, just about the atmosphere, ambiance of the national news of America. And I want to, do a shout out to CBS News has an atmosphere that is clearly honoring the Columbia University educational atmosphere, university, high-level university of research and development. I mean, there's just so much over the historical record of Columbia University. Columbus, it all goes back to Columbus, who discovered America and all of that. And this is the same portfolio. So I am at times yelling at the television over the story. And you have these gracious, very gracious hosts, journalists, Gail King, Nora O'Donnell, and John Dickerson, and now our new journalist. I will remember her name, but I don't want to say it wrong. But it's our new Golandrina, I believe is the last name. It's Russian, and I don't want to say her first name wrong. So let me reiterate that. I just want to do a shout out for this morning. Okay, it was just the ladies there. Brianna. Okay, yeah. Okay, it's Brianna Golandrina. And Wednesday, November 14th, 9:24 a.m. The show just ended about 30 minutes ago. John Dickerson wasn't there this morning. It was just the ladies. And Gail did a story on Michelle Obama. And just my own, personal experience as a Republican candidate of the United States presidency, and starting from ground zero to where I am right now. I was part and parcel to that 2016 presidential race. I was registered for that race. I gave President Obama a lot of the issues that I was facing, that I wasn't facing by myself. I mean, in terms of I was the only one, but I brought to him through letters and all kinds of correspondence and different things about this pathway issue of freedom. And I really believed that with all my heart that President Obama was key and instrumental, and his family, to bring freedom. And I was trying to show him where that pathway was. And for whatever reason, I was ignored. And when I got no response, basically, I did send him a package that I opened a post office box for this influx of responses that was to come regarding this freedom pathway, and allowing people to be a part of this register. I was sent back these correspondence that I sent him, and in fact I was rebuked by the postal people that what I sent President Obama and what was sent back to me with a not a letter from President Obama, but some chain letter or whatever they call it form letter that says that they're not allowed to receive gifts. But on top of that letter, it was already open. Somebody went into it and opened it. And then the person at the desk in the post office here in Santa Fe is confronting me that I used this in the wrong way. I'm like, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And this is invasion of privacy. This letter's obviously opened. And you've gone into my mail, you've read my mail, and now you're rebuking me about it? I mean, isn't that a federal offense? And he finally just shut up and walked away. And I never used that again. I mean, I am trying to explain to our presidents where you live in your bubble, and Congress, where you live in your bubble, it doesn't affect anyone out here. It's still in duress. We are still in crisis here, okay? And in the 2008 debacle, that is still going on, okay? Now, when I got into these cases, I had my own real estate brokerage, Red Door Brokerage of Santa Fe. I had 15 years of training and law degree or law study. They require you to have law study of real estate law, statewide law, corporate law, and also national law. And then I had to be demanded actually to be a member of the National Association of Realtors, which they put you under an oath of ethics, and there they hog-tie you basically into this material interest disclosure situation on an oath basis, where you, if you take that seriously and you do your homework, you're ending up in a corner of having to either lie and be part and party to this material interest thing, or you have to stand opposed for righteousness and honesty and say this is not ethical, which is what I've done. And now I don't have a brokerage. I did have a heart attack, died twice, came back. I mean, it's been on since I've decided to stand for righteousness. So what happened is after I had my brokerage, and I had my license for real estate since 2001. And in 2006, I got married, and that's when I pursued my brokerage, to be a qualifying broker and have my own company. And I got through that school and then got my own company and my own brokerage. Well, when I did that, I had a lot of local people, because I've been here for a long time, come to me during the 2008 thing and tell me about their crisis, including my own brother-in-law. The enforcement of the foreclosures were happening really, really strong during that time. They would actually have marshals go out and break into the houses and force out the families, which has happened to our family with one of my brother-in-laws. He did call me to come see that face to face, and it was out of another country. It was out of like a communistic country. And to this day, my brother-in-law, who's a stellar guy, has gone through a tremendous attack in his life about taking all of his real estate, all of everything he's built, okay? Now, in the foreclosure laws and all of that, there is no rule of law. Okay, they gave Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac a private charter status. And then the United States government somehow said, that's us. Okay, that's not you. That is a private charter in a private economy, privatization economy. And that is not a dual jurisdiction. That is a simplistic jurisdiction out of Washington, D.C. So it's up to the states to adhere to that, and how the states adhere to that is they wrap it around the sectors that have to do with housing and building and all of that, and that's a prestigious market. So when we went under duress with our real estate here in Santa Fe, it was over a brand new portfolio, brand new investments, brand new financing. That before that there was, in my husband's portfolio, he had one property, very little debt on that property, like less than $100,000, but no other bills, no other debt, no nothing. He He had really high credit scores. This Stephen James Valdez, a very, very, very healthy financial, profile. So we qualified for a loan to get access to $200,000 on equity to help 2 families, rescue them from foreclosure. In the process of doing so, we were given those quitclaim deeds to help us or help them get out of those properties. 2 rescue situations. One is the lady that was dying and loved us and gave us, the favor to help her. We gave her almost $100,000 in cash, and then signed on to help her, to continue on with this loan that she had, a predatory loan for a senior citizen who was already in duress, in hospice diagnoses, terminal diagnoses. So we helped her out of that situation that nobody else would help her with. And then another lady that was in a comparable situation as the first lady, but she was a lot younger and able to get down the road in her life. The first lady we helped ended up passing away, and the second lady we ended up helping is off and running on her own way. So when we the foreclosure thing came down, and everybody, the finance came down in terms of like the equity market, because what the banks did is they not only manipulated the instruments of the credit default swap introduction during that time, but they also introduced MERS, which was an electronic system that was totally undermining common law in the terms of the normal law, rule of law of common law. Yeah, it was going into a whole new digitization of this MERS system, which nobody ever got to consent of. They never got the consent of we the people to use the MERS system. They just did it. And in the process of that, they decimated the intrinsic process of how to take care of original mortgage deed documents, all of that. Yeah, that was all undermined. That was all decimated with this new introduction of MERS, a new introduction of the credit default swap, new introduction of these predatory lending parameters of coffeehouse loans, interest-only loans. You got so many negative amortization loans. All of these predatory loans that the bank thought up and knew that they were dealing with a community that wasn't all that smart. You can look onto the stats per city, state, and see who's at the lowest. Ebb and flow of the most highest ranked schools in the country. We've got the lowest ranked schools in the country and the highest ratios of royalty, substantiated royalty vicars that don't understand who they are. This is here in New Mexico. So when I decided to look deeper, what happened was I went on vacation. My husband stayed home here in Santa Fe, and the first phone call I get from him is, "Did you open up a bunch of credit cards?" And I was like, "No, I didn't. We don't have any credit cards, And so he goes, "Well, we got 20 bills here for different credit cards that were opened up and ran up. Is this you?" And I'm like, "No." "Is it you?" He said, "No." And so we have now this huge knot of identity theft, right? So I'm thinking, okay, well, what's weird is that our mortgages are also moving in a weird direction. I don't know what those are. And so I'm wondering, do we have a duplicate mortgage on some of these things that we have going on? And we never got statements about like the breakdown of where these, who's got these loans. And it was getting really, really far away from us, so we couldn't figure it out. So I started calling the customer service number for Ditech and Aquin, and I end up in India. Every single time I'm in India with the servicers, not having any information and telling us that we need to go 90 days late to get into an office that can help us with mediation. Well, that's a default setting that they're wanting to activate on the paperwork that brings this mortgage higher value in underwater in default than if we were to pay the bill. Okay, now we were paying the bill, all these 3 mortgages. And this was all happening at the same time. All 3 of them were tanking at the same time. So moving, changing, billing us double for different things. All of these auto pays on our mortgages started going into new new figures and new different fees and different things. So I was being flagged on that. I was already being flagged on the 20 new credit cards. I mean, I knew we had identity theft issues and I needed some help. And so I called the servicers, end up in India, and they're telling me to go 90 days late, which I ended up doing. And I, in duress, wanting help. And we ended up where we are today, 7 days later, in court, fighting these big banks about the Delaware attachments that they attach through the insurance policies. So here I have this brand new insurance policy certificate holder of the lofts. Okay, so I'm here at the lofts. We have our other 3 properties. They are in duress. We are fighting for them. We do have a confidential settlement agreement on Blue Canyon. We do have a confidential settlement agreement that applies to Ben-Hur. But is the court looking at that? Yes, they're saying you are to adhere to these confidential settlement agreements under seal. But also, in the same breath, they're saying you need to adhere to those, but in the same breath, they're saying we're moving along here, which means we don't even know what that means. I mean, they're allowing attorneys to come in and attach to the cases without any evidence of why are they allowing them to come in. We've got all kinds of interference of the contract. The courts are looking the other way. I bring forensic data to show them the value is here, Your Honor, and the Delaware corporations, and the value's here, and this is who's holding it, and they don't want to hear anything like that. They're going to give the Aquin and Ditech by a technicality that they don't even have the deed, okay? Because when it comes into appeals court, which I've taken them all the way to appeals court, that's where they're asking the appeals judge, please have the deed put into, well, we need a transfer of the deed first. Okay, that's bogus. If the deed isn't already in the name of the person who's fought for it, then you've got evidence right there that you had a third-party interloper come, a credit person or whatever. Now, let me tell you what's happened with my credit, okay? Now, I'm here at the lofts. I signed another lease agreement, and in the lease agreement, they want power of attorney to mess around with property management companies, additional interests, and the certificate holder, okay? So they take position of the certificate holder somewhere up at the top of this, the lofts of Santa Fe, and if I go into the SEC, the lofts are being traded on the stock market. So my corporate identity is attached to securities in the stock market under the name of the lofts, and they are running with a certificate which is attaching them to my perpetuity and Stephen James's perpetuity, and that's going on and on. Okay, now with the endorsement changes to the policy, because they require me to get a policy, an insurance policy on my lease here. In that policy, it gives me a credit a breakdown. Okay, they run a credit report, and let me show you. Okay, now I don't have any income. Okay, since my heart attack in 2013, I lost my brokerage. I've slowly lost all of my, different things that I was trying to keep up. I do have my office open here under Red Door Corporation and my Palace Transportation, but nothing's running on that. We have it on paper. We're still identified with it. But I don't have any credit cards. I don't do anything with credit. I don't do any loans. I pay everything in cash. And here's what they just said. The following is a list of up to 4 credit factors that prevented us from giving you your best rate. Now, this is coming over from Warren Buffett's Geico. Okay. Stillwater Insurance Company. Here's what they said. Number 1, you have 141 collection agency files. 141. Now, collection agencies are attaching to my life. There is no debt. There is no credit cards of my own or my husband's. Okay, everything is paid in cash. right? 141 collection agencies, right? These are all from false identity people attaching to my life and running with my money, okay? Attorneys are able to do this. People who have power of attorney on this, like this additional interests is the lofts, right? Okay, so anything I sign my name to, they're often running with that, including these court cases for 7 years, okay? So number 2, the 177 accounts currently or in the past 30 days late payments. I have no late payments. I have no late payments on anything. The mortgages that are in foreclosure, those are sealed. So they shouldn't even know this, okay? So these are not my accounts. But this is the evidence that I have in his forensic reports that I was bringing to the judge that he didn't want to see it. Suppressed evidence. Here's another one. 170% of balance to credit limitations on open accounts. We don't have any credit accounts. We don't have any open credit accounts that are legitimately ours. But there's 170% of the balance to credit limit, okay, deemed us on a higher rate. The last one on the list is number 4. 234 of the bank revolving accounts are paid as agreed in the last 24 months. So somebody has been running 234 accounts of bank revolving accounts, and they're paying on them as agreed. We're not party and parcel to those agreements, okay? The only thing that I have paid on time and is legitimate is my lease here at the lofts. But there is so much more going on in my name, okay? This is under, it doesn't have the name and address of the person or the organization. It has the lofts as the person who is the holder. So I'm attached to this. Okay, Geico portfolio, multi-policy discount. Hello. Okay, so Ben Carson in the Housing Authority, I don't understand what you're doing. I don't understand what you're doing. And I'm not saying you're not doing anything. I'm just being honest and saying I don't know what you're doing. Okay? Has these cases has it helped me? President Obama said, go through the court system. Find your justice through the court system. Okay, 7 years later, here I am. Have I found the justice? Absolutely not. What have I found? I found discrimination. I found harassment. I found abuse. I found punitive abuse, professional abuse, defamation of character, big time, and slander, big time, and this ability for high conglomerate court, Hauser and Allison and Roselle Brand and Associates in Albuquerque law firms come in with their whatever, and they're completely fraudulent, completely misrepresenting. Okay, Roselle Brand, Hauser and Allison, that's another huge conglomerate. They're the ones that came in halfway through this and said they knew everything. They don't know anything. But the court is admonishing them. Okay, there is such a cartel here. Okay, over 100 years, the Santa Fe ring. It is a ring of sectors that passes the ball of fraud to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And you get a little girl like me, a lady like me, not party to the membership of the Bar Association, but party to the cases, which allows me to have standing, legal standing, to fight these big banks, which I have been doing for 7 years. Okay? But it is a minutia. It is a labyrinth of going nowhere. It is a disrespect to our judicial system. It is a disrespect to those judges that are truly trying and pressing in to give the people the protections of inalienable rights and helping them through what the big banks are putting on the people. Now, the big banks are the ones that are responsible for the deficit. The big banks are the ones responsible for the debt. The big banks are the ones that are responsible for every situation that we come to where there's a crisis financial, and they are step back and they put it all on the people. They put it all on the people. They say they're stupid. They tell them they're bourgeois ignoramuses, bourgeois stupidity and simpletons, bourgeois whatever. Okay. Well, let me tell you something. Before God, these are all walking, talking, royal, designed by God, divine creations that need a process, that need a consistency, that need a stability of government, that will not throw our American people, we the people, under the bus when they make their bad decisions or whatever, their panties get in a knot. They put it on the people. Okay, the Federal Reserve is the culprit, and the FDIC is the weak soldier because they know that they have insured all of this, and it should never have gone on the people. And then the OCC is supposed to be a security entity, which we are finding weak soldiers. And I'm not calling it a military weak soldier. I'm using a metaphor of these are weak. They're not even standing a post. They're there getting a paycheck. Okay. Now I don't get a paycheck. In fact, I've had pretty much everything taken away from me, and I'm still talking and standing here because of my husband, Stephen James Valdez, really, really loves me. Okay, and he has really put me in a place of favor to be able to continue this work. So if you continue to see my face, it is him. He was my biggest investor. He's my biggest supporter. He's my biggest fan and friend. And I appreciate his love for me. That is steadfast every single day. And I love him too very much. Now, these battles in court have tested our marriage. Don't get me wrong. He's seeing me get hurt by these attorneys, and he is worried they're going to kill me. So he's like, let's pull the cord. Let's just give them what they want. And that happened to one of our cases with Allstate that was extremely predatory and slanderous against us. And when he stood on one side saying, Misha, let's quit, and I'm standing there looking at him like, this is exactly how you've been hurt all these years, is no one's fought back. It really put me in a place. And that's when I posted on my Facebook, it looks like we're going to get divorced. And guess what? The attorney of Allison and Hauser goes to the judge and says to the judge, Your Honor, it looks like the defense is going to get divorced. That is irrelevant. But no, it isn't. Why? Because the state of New Mexico, when you get married in New Mexico, which we did, they become the groom, and the husband and the wife that are getting married becomes the bride. And the state is party to the marriage if you've been married in New Mexico. So the judge knew what she was talking about. She knew what she was talking about. And I knew what she was talking about. But did Stephen James know what he was talking about? Did he know they were talking about the interest? What happens when a husband and wife get divorced in New Mexico? The state stays on with that portfolio, and they call it an abandoned estate, and they take over all of that. And my husband was married prior to me, and I was married prior to him. Both marriages were in New Mexico. So the state of New Mexico has multiple portfolios on me with my ex, and my husband with his ex. And those are still alive. And when we got poured, it goes on and on, you guys. I mean, it's really wrong what has happened here in terms of value being confiscated, unseen, untalked about. These attorneys know what they're talking about. The judges know that when the attorneys are looking at each other like they really know what's going on. And we're there standing there, pro se defense, for 7 years with no respect. Every judge has a material interest in every case. And if the Supreme Court would be honest, they do too. Okay, so I want to talk about California because that is my hometown. And I was born in Santa Cruz, California, and I had home there in Santa Monica for for years growing up with my real family. But then I went into foster homes in California. And it was a time for me to understand this is my home. Now, my home, even though I'm not there, is going up in fire. It was fine. Everything was quiet until I told Stephen my mother was born in Chico, California. I don't know my mother. The last I heard of my mother, she went to London to visit Queen Elizabeth, and she's disappeared since then. Is she in the tower? She could be. Is she in prison? She could be. Is she in some mental institution? Probably. Who knows? But there's been no disclosure of what's happened to my mother. My father is my biological father, which we are estranged from, but I still love him and care for him and have forgiven him for a lot of what's happened with that. He's in Costa Rica, and I don't even know if he's alive. So the breakup of my family, and then hearing about these fires and the very places where I just mentioned my mother was born there. Okay, now if the enemy can go through your homeland and burn everything down, it's going to be hard to do a survey. Let me tell you something, because the markers aren't there anymore. They burned down. So America needs to care that the California coast is royalty coast. If you go back and you look at the historical record, all west of the Mississippi is truly, truly a ground of historical record of royalty in America, coming and setting up a place, a refuge against the hierarchies of aristocratic royalty in Europe. Was driving out people, and they had to find a place, and they came here, and they refuged here. The royalty families refuged here. Well, they're still here. They're still here. And the Native American 19 tribal nations are in New Mexico. They have been accounted for on the reservations, but even they don't have the disclosure, number one, of where that money's going, of where the wealth is, because if you go take a drive in those reservations, there's poverty all over the place, but the very, very top are hidden somewhere. Okay, in the tribal nations. Then you come out of the tribal nations, which is literally across the street, and it's crazy, man. I mean, it's crazy. And then you've got poverty in the rural city propers, in the counties, all of that. Where's the money? Who's got that? It's the cabal. It's the ring. It's the ones that, just a few. Okay, and it's been this way for 100 years. And anybody like me who steps up and starts saying too much gets killed. Historical record, they get killed, okay? Now, I don't have a mother, and I don't have a father, and I don't have my family. I don't know my older sister biologically. I don't even know where she is. We were separated as children. And then my older brothers, my two brothers, they're doing their lives, and I'm close to my younger brother, but my older brother, I never see him. Okay, so the record of our lives is so important. To tear apart families and to burn down their homelands and to wipe out all the boundaries of survey, to disconnect people from their families and their lands, especially if they've been wards of the court, without any commitment from that court to reunite them with their families and to see them succeed and not let go of them at 18, because that's unrealistic. If they've been an orphan for 18 years and you let them go and never attach again, that's baloney, because in the Dynasty Trust, you've attached all the way through. Okay, so going back to these cases, your identity is completely stolen. Your estate is behind you, okay? And with trustees, executors, beneficiaries, are you on the list? Am I on the list of my own beneficiary? Am I a beneficiary to my own estate? That's up to Congress. That's up to the trustees that they've put in the seat, and the judge has put in the seat of my life. And the judge has put in the seat of my husband's life. Now, we have stood there in court for 7 years saying, my husband is the executor. What does the conglomerate attorney say? Her husband is not the executor. Yeah, because there's no respect. But in common law, he is the executor and the beneficiary and the one who's supposed to be assigning the trustees. In full disclosure, okay? Now, when we have a president in the United States office of the presidency for 8 years, and they do not fight for the people to be attached to their value that's going on every single day behind the scenes, and they allow the senior citizens to die, they allow the teenagers not to get into college, they allow this struggle in primary markets while the secondary markets are in trillion-dollar profits and yields. There's no freedom, okay? It's a status quo president that is doing absolutely nothing but doing the paper shuffle, okay? And what they're also doing in the process of their paper shuffle is they're picking out their little things that make them feel good. Like President Obama was a Muslim, so let me pump up the Muslims. Let me pump up the black African American race since I'm black. Okay, we have slavery going down. We have poverty going down. We have homelessness going down. We have America's own citizens of every color crying out for a president who really can see their plight that is blocked. Their pathway is blocked. It doesn't matter if they're obeying the law. It doesn't matter if they're going into the courts and learning law and pro se defense and all of that. Their pathway is blocked. Can you hear me? Their pathway is blocked. Does the president care? Up to this point, no, honestly. They're going to take the path of least resistance. They're going to pick these little things and say, okay, regulation, deregulation, tax, now low tax, now jobs, there's no jobs, let's create jobs. Yeah, no negative. This is insanity to try the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. To do the paper shuffle anymore with people in their lives that are smart enough to see if I have a pathway into my secondary portfolio and I am the executor of that estate, which I truly am. I am the real person standing right here in front of you for 7 years. I will show you the value if you put me in my own position to do so. The courts, yeah, they're going to walk. In my case, they don't even know what to do with that. They don't even know what to do with somebody who can truly see what's going on. So what do? They suppress evidence. And they deny any motions of freedom. Every single one is denied. Because it's a codification. And if I don't have a code pathway, they're not going to honor anything I say. Because inalienable rights are not honored in a codification atmosphere of court. Okay? And it's tyrannical. It is treason. It is communism. It is not our America. And our president needs to call them on that. Department of Justice needs to call them on that. We have alienated, which you guys did on purpose. You divorce the people from inalienable rights through codification, administration, where we are right now. Okay? So our president didn't go to Paris and stand there with everybody else and go another round of this Treaty of Paris, which is exactly what disconnected us from our Constitution, okay? He's trying to find a way, but he doesn't have any allies there, okay? So now he's back, and he's going to go, in the Bible, or not the Bible, but the news reports say that he's not in the best of spirits. Why? Because he doesn't have any warriors around him who've got hair on their chest of courage and integrity to look in the eyes of the Federal Reserve and say, you crash us one more time. You crash us one more time, we're going to be in a world war. Okay? Because it is Germany. It is their top Swedish, Basel crowd that crashes America because they think our president is stupid. You want to go back into the insurance sector. They're huge. They've got the UN under choke chain. They've got everybody that they have had under the Delaware under a choke chain because they're all attached and they're not disclosing the attachment value. Okay? So, the things that need to happen is that all of the insurance sector needs to be given notice, okay, including the FDIC, that if you are not American owned, you need to disclose you're foreign owned. so that we can find the insurance company that is dedicated to America's security, which we do not have. We don't have a commerce system that's dedicated to America's security. I just saw on CBS this morning that Steve Mnuchin, who is running the Treasury, isn't even committed to that. He's up for the promotion for AG, whatever. I don't know. Chief of Staff? Oh, Lord have mercy. Yeah. You know, if all this is a career a career pinball game where, you know, if the ball hits you, you get a promotion at it, you know what I mean? We're not going anywhere. We have the wrong people. Congress is already compromised because they are insider trading. That is only one revenue stream that they're becoming millionaires with. The other revenue stream is the lobbyist bribery that is going on daily that everybody is just loving, okay? That is counterproductive to any kind of clear interest of getting America into a financial foundational security, okay? If you are a liar and you are a thief and you are taking your position, your seat, in a narcissistic way of this is all about me and I'm going to rip it off as much as I can while I'm here because as soon as I retire, I'm going to be rich and I'm going to go off and whatever, yeah. Your position is already in a criminal dynamic and paradigm that should be pressed charges against for treason. Okay, we have police forces out here in Santa Fe, New Mexico that are getting paid little nothing. We've got the state of New Mexico, capital city, one of the oldest capital cities in the United States, running toe-to-toe with the other oldest capital city in St. Augustine in Florida. What I'm trying to say is that you'd think we had more respect here, okay? But because nobody fights back here, it's just these little bit of people that are laughing all the way to the bank every time. Now we've got another Michelle. We've got a Michelle running our, she's going to be our governor, okay? That's my name, Michelle, is Misha in Russian. Misha in Russian is equivalent to Michelle in French. It's Michael, okay? Michelle is Michael in French, the female derivation. And Misha is the female derivation of Michael in Russia. It's the, So Papa Francisco gave me my assignment, and said, let her have that place, okay, of leadership. So what it is that everybody in leadership is taking advantage of a piggyback ride off of that, what God has given to me. Okay, and I'm supposed to find my pathway, walking in the dark, and you would think that somebody like Michelle Obama would come and knock on my door and say, nice to finally meet you. Let's connect and do better together than apart. 8 years, I'm knocking on this door. I go to nothing. Ruth Bader Ginsburg comes to Santa Fe, to the Lenzik, to have a meeting for the public here in Santa Fe because she loves Santa Fe. And it was sold out it was sold out right away. So I make her a tin of chocolate chip cookies. I go to the back door of the Lenzik because I know how to go in there. And I say, please give these to Justice Ginsburg. And there's an invitation to an art show. I'd love, because she loves art, and I'd love to take her to this art show, and it's totally incognito, whatever. Just, give this to her and let her know that I would love Maiden of Santa Fe, Misha G. Valdez, is thinking of her. She is so gracious. She writes me a handwritten letter back, signs it, and sends it back to me, thanking me. This is not hard, okay, to care. But do we get that out of the Obamas? No. And now she's crying because Melania Trump hasn't even contacted her. Okay, well, welcome to the world of being ignored, okay, because it is painful. Now you're going to have your book, and you're going to go talk about your tragic story. And, Hillary Clinton's tragic story, Monica Lewinsky's tragic story. I'm just really tired of all of the tragic stories. We are out here literally having amazing, ability to change the world, literally. And what are we talking about? You. I don't want to talk about you anymore. I'm sorry. I'm tired of it, okay? There's real needs out here. Real common man, women dying, literally dying, needing help by everyone that they've signed up on a loan or any kind of, credit is already owned by that borrower. Credit, the true etiquette of giving people their credit is to give them a statement every month. Your equity position is this much. You get to pull that out. Okay? We're not charging you for that. We're going to give you your credit amount. It's your value. Okay? Give us your plan. What do you want to do with it? That's good banking. And then you go, well, how do you make money on that? It's called reciprocity, sweetie pie. Equal status, equal respect, equal yield spread, equal profit margins, equal everything from the borrower and the lender. And the lender is no longer a lender. The lender is, you know what you are on paperwork. Yeah, you're the executor or the trustee or the beneficiary, wherever you are with your attorneys. You're shuck and jiving with this whole thing. The attorneys are playing the pawns on the chess game. And, you guys are lying all your way through it. Be honest. You are lying most of the way through it. Bankers, lying. Attorneys, lying. Judges, you're giving biased judgments and you know it. And no one's bigger than you to bust you on it, so you continue to do it. Our president doesn't have full disclosure. And if you gave him, the one, Jared Kushner, he would be the one to tell the president, okay, we've got two totally different dynamics of finance. We've got the secondary SEC, UCC jurisdiction, and then we've got the primary out here where everybody is rubbing two nickels together. Which one do you want to know about, Mr. President? And if you want to know about the securities jurisdiction, then you're going to find yourself there, and then the Congress is going to say your self-interest, okay? But the Congress is guilty of every fraud you see before you in that SEC. Because they are playing both candles to the middle. They are creating laws that are sending people like Martha Stewart to prison for insider trading when they're doing the very same thing every single day. That is not serving America. That's communism. Okay? So now I want to move over, get off of that. I want to go over to the CBS this morning. Yesterday, it was an incredible morning for news. One of the best stories of this was we have a new lady running the Navy, Amy Barenschmidt. Okay, Jan Crawford did this story. This is the USS Lincoln, United States Navy. She's got 4 acres. I'm just blown away at the favor of this woman. I'm so proud of her. I don't know her, never met her, but I am so incredibly impressed. That is a Navy women's leadership. She's got 4 acres of sovereign freedom, okay, at her disposal. She's got 5,000 U.S. Navy soldiers. That's holy ground, dude. You talk about the favor of God on those 5,000 soldiers, how she can build those portfolios. She's got the assets in her hand of the armament portfolio, of the Navy, and that goes back as far as the Navy goes, okay? And I believe John McCain was in the Navy, and he just recently passed away. So, this is some of the stuff she's been handed. Does she know that? There's a naval vessel. That's a portfolio. Ancient, goes back, comes forward, naval vessels. That's the same portfolio. She's got the same nuclear aircraft portfolio of the carriers. That covers all jurisdictions. She's got the 4 acres of sovereignty. She's got the USS Lincoln, which is 29 years old, and it is an anniversary on Veterans Day. She's given the motherlode, dude, of portfolios to sit down, get her 5,000 in there, and say, let's build this, okay? There's a ground portfolio. There's an air portfolio. There's every jurisdiction portfolio. She's got the maritime portfolio. She's got so much in front of her that she can build in value. And this is my point, okay? yeah, I mean, I just can go on and on about that. So I want to pray for her, that God will give her the heart and mind to see what she's been granted and given. Okay. The other Jerry Brown, the governor of California. God is giving you an amazing time right here to rescue California from the poverty that she has experienced through the old regime. Now, you are there, and I don't know what you see, but I am watching America allow California to go down in flames. Our president is having a tug of war over even helping you guys financially, because who knows what he sees on the books, that he has full disclosure of what's happened to the wealth of California. Now, I can tell you California is known for Hollywood, the film industry, and I can go right there and show you the theft of every artist, music, stage, film, that has happened since the beginning of this portfolio. And that is the British jurisdiction opened up Hollywood, because they have Hollywood over in Britain, and they brought it over, and that's why you have your Screen Actors Guild, and all of your Academy Awards are going through a board, which is really the owners of Hollywood, and all of that. That's going down, okay? Hollywood is about the film, theater, and music of America. We have other markets. You don't want to do it there anymore? Fine. Fine. If you want it, you better clean it up. If you don't want it, New Mexico can do it, because we're already set up for it. But then you've got this cabal, and you got to deal with that, because it's like an Alamo over here. Okay? Now, your bifurcated structures are in your sectors of everywhere you see insurance. Every time you pick up an insurance policy, anything insurance is a bifurcated, hidden system of structure. Go look at a tree, look at all the thing, and then go to the very top and look at the little tip at the very top of any little tree, and you're going to see a bifurcated structure. And the only very tip is usually what you see. You don't see the rest of it. Now, in the seasons, the leaves drop. So in a bifurcated structure, it follows the seasons. That's what you're seeing on the stock market, is the leaves on the bifurcated structures are dropping. In other words, they're going to have a natural organic loss of stocks, bonds, a decompression, because leaves are dropping off the bifurcated structures. I mean, this is not hard, guys. Okay? It's just that you're in so far, you can't see the forest from the trees. Okay, I mean, this goes into a lot of different things. I just want to say that ABC is about America's ambiance of interest and events and that and this and that. The intelligence of ABC is a different intelligence than CBS. CBS is requiring our journalists to be not a Debbie Downer, okay? Don't take the story, even if it's depressing, and go into a Debbie Downer with it. Keep it on an upbeat. Keep it on an end note of hope, and it's gonna be okay. And then go to the next story. Don't. The producers are telling our journalists, who are extremely intelligent, to keep even heavy stories that don't even have all the details because it's too hot. They're saying, Columbia University is saying, and Columbia Power is saying, do not allow the gravity of the subject matter to become a heavy downer on air, okay? Now, if we're doing an interview on somebody that has literally blown up their life or done made a mess or whatever, it isn't our journalists' job to redeem that online, okay? Redeem that on air. If somebody spends 8 years in the White House fighting their husband because they're insecure, that's the issue. If somebody is a president for 8 years and they don't set anybody free, that's the issue. Okay? And freedom is still needing to be fought for in America by our president. It's not happening by you getting, if you're a mobster president, okay, which President Trump is looking a little bit like a mobster president, okay, all of his higher-ups coming in, then they leave. What did they take with them? Does anybody ask? What did you just attach to and take with you? You look at these guys and they have big briefcases. Is anybody checking what they're bringing in and out? Who knows? They get in a big fight and the next thing you watch them leave the White House and these big briefcases go with them. That doesn't look good. Okay? We need awareness. We need courage. We need leadership that's honest. We need leadership that understands the value of telling our lobbyists who are bribing our Congress, we're going to arrest you if you continue to do this. We're going to press charges of obstruction of justice. I mean, go on and on. Why are you allowing what you're allowing to happen in our Washington, D.C. chambers, our House, our Senate, our chambers, it doesn't serve America. And so because it's going on the way that it's going on, makes me wonder if the people in position that have been in position all this time are even for America. Or have you sold out America and you are just thinking that these bourgeois simpletons aren't ever going to get it? Well, guess what? We get it. Okay? And I'm standing the post for that, and I'm not going to be quiet about it. Okay? So, Mr. President, President Trump, I am in your court. I don't agree with everything that's going on around you, but I believe in you because God says to. And I do believe in you. Okay? You have this in you. God is with you. And even on a clear day where there's not a cloud in the sky and you're not sure if God is with you, He's with you. Okay? And He's needing you to have a relationship with Him, a prayer, and hopefully some fasting that's going to help you understand, how do I bring these people into freedom? Because it isn't just about a corporation. It's about freedom of the people. We the people. Okay? Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness is that American dream. You're saying it's nowhere in writing about the American dream. Well, no, it's not. It's said in the American dream. It's said in the pursuit of happiness. That is the American dream. Okay? All right. I love you guys. Hopefully you're going to get something out of this. We have our military needing explicit directions on how to bring that value forward on the immigration page. I'm right here. Okay? On and on. I can help you. If I have a team assigned to me to fly me in and out and get me where I'm supposed to be, I will help you for free. I will not charge you. I am a minister of the gospel, but I am also a minister of finance, of forensic finance, and we are late. Okay, we're behind this obstruction, but we're right there. President Trump, if you had me there, I could say, this is your obstacle, let's go. Here's your other one right here, let's go. And get you through, because you do have the executive power. If you did sign an executive agreement that does not allow people to connect to their families because of immigration, and your mother was an immigrant, then you've just disqualified yourself, sir. And we need you to get back into the position you're supposed to be in, on paper especially. And if you need somebody as a liaison to explain that, I'm right here. Okay, I love you guys. Bye-bye.